In the ancient city of Yazd, Iran, brick towers rise from rooftops. They have stood for centuries. They are not decoration. They are cooling machines. Persians called them badgers, wind catchers. These structures dropped indoor temperatures by 12 degrees without electricity over 1,000 years before air conditioning existed. A $200 billion industry buried this knowledge. And by the end of this video, you will discover. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss what the cooling industry hopes stays forgotten. Picture the western desert of Iran around 900 AD, temperatures climbing past 110 degrees Fahrenheit, sand stretching to the horizon. And in the middle of this brutal landscape, families living in homes that stayed cool without a single mechanical device. The secret stood on every roof: badgers, towers built from brick and clay, rising high above the buildings they served. The tallest surviving badger at Dowlat Abad Garden in Yazd reaches over 109 feet. These towers captured wind at elevation, funneled it down through internal channels, and pushed cool air into the rooms below. When the wind died, the sun heated the tower walls. Hot air rising through the shaft pulled cool air from underground chambers and shaded courtyards into the living spaces above. Researchers documented temperature reductions of 10 to 14 degrees Fahrenheit and up to 30 air changes per hour. No compressor, no fan, no electricity, just physics and brick. This was not a primitive technique. This was precision engineering refined across generations. In Egypt, artwork near Luxor dating to 1300 BCE shows wine tower designs on the residence of Pharaoh Nebamun. The technology predates many of the monuments we consider ancient today. But Persia was not the only civilization that solved this problem. Travel east to the Loess Plateaus of Shanxi province in China. Here, families carved homes directly into the earth. They are called yaodongs, cave dwellings. Some date back more than 4,000 years. Millions of Chinese citizens still live in them today. The interior temperature holds steady year-round, cool in scorching summers, and warm through bitter winters. No furnace, no air handler. The earth itself regulates the climate. Now zoom out further. Think of the underground cities of Cappadocia in Turkey, the cliff dwellings of the Pueblo people in the American Southwest, and Roman hypocaust systems channeling warm air beneath stone floors. Every advanced civilization on Earth discovered the same two principles. Use the earth as a thermal battery, and use the chimney effect to move air. No culture that understood building science ever chose to fight the climate with brute force. They worked with physics, they built with the land. Then somewhere along the way, the modern world forgot all of it. Here is what those ancient builders understood intuitively, and what modern instruments have confirmed with precision. The earth beneath your feet holds a nearly constant temperature. At a depth of 6 feet, daily temperature swings vanish entirely. At 10 feet, seasonal swings flatten out. At 15 feet, the soil temperature stabilizes at the local annual average air temperature year-round. In most temperate zones, that number sits between 50 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Every single day, every single season. Summer and winter become irrelevant underground. An earth-sheltered home takes advantage of this constant. Walls built against or into a hillside. Earth packed and bermed against 3 sides of the structure. The south face left open for sunlight and ventilation. The roof buried under soil and vegetation. Researchers studied a bermed earth-sheltered house in the village of Dubravka near Kragujevac, Serbia. They measured interior temperatures over 4 years, from 2012 to 2016. The daily temperature inside that home never dropped below 15.8 degrees Celsius, and never climbed above 20.6 degrees Celsius. That is roughly 60 to 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Outside, temperatures swung from below freezing to above 95 degrees Fahrenheit. No heating system ran. No cooling system ran. The earth did all the work. A separate study using climate data from Denver, Colorado established that an underground dwelling delivers 72% energy savings compared to a conventional surface home. Independent construction researchers placed the total savings for earth-sheltered homes at up to 80% of heating and cooling costs. Now add the thermal chimney, a vertical shaft built into the south-facing wall painted dark or clad in glass to absorb solar radiation. The sun heats the air inside the chimney. Hot air rises and exhausts through the top. This creates low pressure at the base, and that low pressure pulls cool air from earth to air tubes buried 6 to 10 feet below grade, directly into the living space. The house inhales cool air from the ground and exhales warm air through the chimney. No moving parts, no electricity. The sun powers the exhaust. The earth cools the intake. Researchers documented that integrated systems of solar chimneys with earth-to-air heat exchangers maintain indoor temperatures between 28 and 32 degrees Celsius, with 3 to 7 complete air changes per hour. Thermal chimneys alone reduce dependence on mechanical cooling by 30 to 50%. Combined with earth sheltering, total energy savings climb to 70 to 80%. The physics is not theoretical, it is measured, published, and repeatable. So the obvious question becomes, why is every house on your street still built with 4 stick-framed walls and a central air unit that breaks down every 12 years? Follow the money. On July 17, 1902, a young engineer named Willis Haviland Carrier initialed a set of mechanical drawings in Brooklyn, New York. He was working at the Sackett and Wilhelms Lithography and Printing Company. He was not trying to cool a home. He was trying to control humidity for a printing press. Paper kept wrinkling, ink kept smudging. Carrier designed a machine to dehumidify the air. It worked. In 1915, he founded the Carrier Corporation. The modern air conditioning industry was born solving an industrial printing problem, and then spent the next century convincing homeowners they needed the same machine inside their living rooms. The global heating, ventilation, and air conditioning market was valued at over $165 billion in 2024. Projections push that number past $250 billion by 2032. The International Energy Agency projects 5.6 billion air conditioning units operating worldwide by 2050. 48% of all energy consumed in American homes goes to heating and cooling. Nearly half of every family energy bill in this country feeds one industry. Now consider the business model. A house that cools itself with earth and sun generates one transaction, the construction. A house dependent on mechanical cooling generates decades of compressor purchases, refrigerant refills, duct cleanings, maintenance contracts, and monthly electricity bills. Executives in boardrooms do not look at product lifespan as a problem. They look at it as a revenue cycle. A bermed home with a thermal chimney is the equivalent of a cure in a marketplace that profits from treatment. Building codes reinforced the barrier. Codes are written around product classifications created by manufacturers. An earth-sheltered assembly does not fit any standard category. Inspectors reviewing these plans find no testing standard to reference, no fire rating to check, no manufacturer warranty to file. Not because the system fails, because the paperwork was designed for the products the industry sells. Lenders and insurance companies evaluate risk using databases filled entirely with conventional construction data. The safest building envelope in human history gets priced as the riskiest because no underwriter has a spreadsheet row for a house that does not need their products, and the knowledge itself was deliberately abandoned. The 1973 oil crisis triggered a surge of interest in earth-sheltered construction. Dozens of books were published. Research papers filled university libraries. Federal energy budgets funded alternative building studies. Then oil prices dropped in the early 1980s. Budgets were slashed overnight. The majority of publications on earth sheltering date to the years just before 1983. After that year, the publishing stopped. The knowledge did not fail. The funding did. But the physics never changed. The soil temperature at 10 feet never shifted. The stack effect never stopped working. And while the mainstream forgot, a handful of architects and engineers kept building proof that became impossible to ignore. An architect named Malcolm Wells spent decades fighting for what he called a silent green alternative. Wells is widely regarded as the father of earth-sheltered construction. He believed underground architecture was a promising and overlooked way to build without destroying the land. He was inspired by a visit to Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin West in Arizona, where an underground theater stayed cool despite scorching outdoor temperatures. Wells designed, published, and built earth-sheltered structures for years while the industry pretended he did not exist. Then came the Queen's Building. Completed in late 1993 at De Montfort University in Leicester, England, this structure shattered what the ventilation industry called possible. The building holds as many as 2,000 staff and students. The entire structure is naturally ventilated, passively cooled, and naturally lit. That includes 2 large lecture halls, each seating more than 150 people. Conventional wisdom in the heating and cooling industry declared that omitting mechanical equipment at this scale was impossible. The building won Green Building of the Year and the Royal Institute of British Architects Education Building of the Year in 1995. It was the largest naturally ventilated building in Europe at the time. Brick chimneys rising from the roofline drive all the airflow. No air conditioning units sit on the roof. No massive ductwork runs through the ceilings. Just the stack effect and intelligent design. Brian Ford, the architect behind the Queen's Building, took the concept further. He designed the Torrent Research Center in Ahmedabad, India. The building uses thermal chimneys in a tropical climate where air conditioning dependence is the strongest on Earth. That building proved the technology works in extreme heat and humidity, not just mild English weather. The research kept stacking. Studies confirmed that bermed earth-sheltered walls reduce cooling loads by 24 to 31%, even in tropical climates. Researchers found that earth berming works as a climate-responsive strategy against the effects of global warming. In 2023, the United Kingdom Building Research Establishment formally recommended thermal mass strategies as key components of climate adaptation for new construction. The data is not in dispute. It is simply never discussed where families make their building decisions. So what can you do with this knowledge right now? If you are building new on a sloped site, the full earth-sheltered approach is within reach. Place a south-facing glass wall and berm the earth against the north, east, and west walls. Cover the roof with soil and a waterproofing membrane. Put a thermal chimney on the south face. Bury earth-to-air cooling tubes 6 to 10 feet below grade. The additional excavation and waterproofing adds roughly 10 to 30% to construction costs, but energy savings of up to 80% mean the investment pays for itself. Annual energy savings for underground homes can exceed $3,000 per year, offsetting the additional cost in approximately 11 years. If you already own a conventional home, partial application still captures real benefit. Earth-to-air heat exchangers work as standalone systems. Buried pipe loops draw cool air into basements and lower floors. A solar attic chimney converts your existing attic space from a heat liability into a ventilation engine. In hot climates, the attic is often blazingly hot in summer. Integrating that trapped heat with chimney ventilation turns a problem into a power source that pulls cooler air through your entire lower floor. The United States Department of Energy maintains publicly available guidance on earth-sheltered home design today. The physics belongs to no corporation. The soil beneath your property requires no subscription. The sun that heats a thermal chimney sends no invoice. Persian builders more than 1,000 years ago cooled entire cities with brick towers and wind. Chinese families carved homes into the earth 4,000 years ago, and their descendants still live in them today. A Serbian farmhouse maintained comfortable temperatures for 4 consecutive years with no mechanical system at all. The Queen's Building at De Montfort University proved natural ventilation works at the scale of 2,000 people in a single structure. Every principle these builders used has been confirmed by modern research and peer-reviewed science. Meanwhile, the global air conditioning market is projected to surpass $250 billion by 2032. Every dollar of that growth depends on families who never learn what this video just taught you. The earth has not changed. The chimney effect still works. The only thing that was ever buried was the knowledge. Now you have it back. If this opens something for you, subscribe to Construction Odyssey and hit the bell. The next episode opens soon.